What's going on, y'all? Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. It's Josh here, not for PokeJacks. No, we haven't chatted in a while. Just kind of want to talk about what the business is doing. So, yes, I do get Pokemon allocations. I had somebody say, hey, you made it, you're finally getting it. Well, the allocations I get is definitely not a lot to quench the thirst out there. I'm just going to be honest with you. They have slowly, steadily gotten better, but you still have to buy a lot of the ancillary products to continue building that spin history. So, as where I'm getting, a couple of cases of during each release, or even with the illustration series 2 that came out, I only got one case. That was it, and then had some for my second distro. Uh, like I said, my second distro's price is not the greatest. One of the cases sold, the other one's still sitting on the site, and I'll leave it up there for a couple more days, and if nobody wants it, then I'll just take it down and sit back, watch, and see what happens with the prices. But I still have to buy certain things. I in the past I've bought a lot of binders and top loaders and penny sleeves, and you know that think for me that kind of died out. I'm not getting a lot of traction on the website with them. Not getting a lot of traction in TCG Player with those items. So, I'm starting to venture out a little bit more into some things I do or don't know when it comes to working with distribution. Now, Cookie Run surprisingly has done very well for me. It's a South Korean card game. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. It is a card game out of South Korea. It's based off a cell phone game, but it is making its way into the U.S. Set 5 is supposed to be pretty big. It's supposed to introduce a new type of cookie, and the full art seems just like Pokemon, and everybody else kind of going into that lore of, hey, full scene cards is the way to go for their products. But yeah, that and also the national championships coming up here, from my understandings, down in South Florida for Cookie Run. So, and it just made it on TCG Player, so it is slowly making its name for itself. It might not be like a huge TCG, but the niche is there. There is a cult following for it, and it has done extremely well for me. And it was a risk; it was worth taking. And I think for me and the small business, it's done very well, especially helping increase my spend with distribution. Recently, I just purchased the K-pop card collection. That should be here this week. Something else I've ventured into. I don't know, I know about K-pop Demon Hunter, but as a card game, I do not know. Godzilla did extremely well for me. Endless Wars, I was able to get two cases, and both cases sold out pretty quickly. And also, I'm dabbling into Warhammer, which I know is a huge game piece army item. Um, I got the Warlord. I'm sorry, not Warlord. Warhammer. Excuse me, Warhammer. Warhammer is huge game piece army item, and I'm dabbling into that, learning a little bit more about Warhammer, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm just trying to venture out into some new things. Oh, before I forgot, Vibe, like Bird versus Penguin. It's a new TCG as well. I looked up eBay. Surprisingly, they got some cards on there that are pretty expensive. It was like a $200 promo card. So, give it a shot, see what happens. Like I said, for distro, I try to not have too much overhead. Try to make sure either I break even, or if I lose a little bit, that's fine. But I think for like binders and all these little ancillary products, I think I've kind of hit my limit with where they're going. So trying to venture out, get the word out. Hey, I got other things besides binders. I'm trying to venture in these other TCGs, these other games. Build a big, broad variety of a business besides Pokemon, which Pokemon is doing great. I wish I can get Lorcana, but through my second distro, I should be able to get Lorcana. I should be able to get One Piece and Magic, and whatever they can offer me. Just you got to keep in mind that the price is not going to be the greatest. I weigh it out. If I can still be below market a little bit and make a very thin margin, that's a win for me and a win for you as well. Talking about second distro, yeah, it, it's it's a weird one, but yeah, you can get, I'm just happy I can kind of versatilize now for PokeJacks a little bit. Yes, the price is still not the greatest, but I try to make it as fair as possible for the collectors and the hobbyists, especially those that collect seal cases. So a lot of the things that come from that second distro will only be offered in a seal case because of the premium, and based off the margin. If I open the case and try to sell it individually, then I will definitely be below. Uh, basically I won't make any money. There'll be no margin, and like the very thin margin as it is, and everything I do for margin goes straight back to the business. I'm not driving a Bugatti. I don't have a fancy pool in the backyard. My plan for the next 3 years, if I make it that long, is continue investing into the business and making it bigger and better, especially with allocations coming from distribution. Japanese, yes, I do have some more on the way. Yeah, like I said, it's just a tough. Japanese is a tough market right now, and it's just kind of hard for me to get a good read on it. I like to offer it at a fair price. It's just very difficult with tariffs and the volatility. It just seems to kind of be all over the place. In my opinion, I think people would rather spend money on English products at a higher price than Japanese products at a higher price. But I do have a solid base of Japanese collectors, so I try to keep some Japanese in stock. Waiting on an invoice now to place another order to get some more Japanese on the site. Chinese, crazy enough, tactical cards. He purchase purchase some from a supplier that I have recently purchased from. So it was very shocking to find out that he was scammed. We all got words about it. I cut ties with that supplier immediately. I was kind of devastated by it because I've bought numerous amount of products from them before, and to come to find out that he got scammed and it got shipped back to Hong Kong was a little disheartening. So I do want to get more Chinese products on the site. It's just finding that person I can trust, and it makes sense. It's just one, you got to make sure you're getting real product, not fake counterfeit stuff. And two, if it is real and not counterfeit, it's not going to get you're not going to get scammed. It's going to get sent back to Hong Kong. So there's two high risk factors in there, and trying to find somebody that I could trust is the next step. MSRP lottery. So MSRP lottery is still a thing, but I am definitely teeter-tottering on not doing it anymore. And that, I think a lot of that just comes from the lack of sales with ancillary products. Like I said, I have to buy these ancillary products from distribution to help increase allocations of Pokemon. I do anticipate to have Pitch Black, and as of right now, I anticipate to have the MSRP lottery for Pitch Black. But after that one, I am not sure. Uh, if I have to avoid away from the MSRP lottery, the price will probably be like in between MSRP and market, so not getting a full market effect. And I'll probably just put it on the website for people to purchase without a lottery system. I do not want to go away from the lottery. I think it's a great thing. I think it's an awesome tool to get product out there to everybody at a fair price, and it's luck of the wheel, luck of the wheel, and your name falls on it. Um, but based off sales and how the business is going, I don't want to go out of business. So there might be a potential that, hey, I might have to move away from MSRP lottery or do half my allocations for MSRP lottery and the other half for, like I said, in between MSRP and the market price, which I don't want to do. I'm hoping not. I will not have to do that, but there's always a possibility that that could happen. Definitely a lot of hype with the new two sets coming out. Everybody's tracking the 30th and new Rayquaza set. I'm super excited. I've been looking for pre-orders for the Rayquaza set, kind of, watching and waiting and making sure prices make sense because, like I said, Japanese market's very volatile. One day it'll be one price, and the next day or so it's a whole nother price. So, just to make sure one, I don't want to buy something at a high price and then like a couple days later it's lower, and then I have automatically take a loss because that's just market price is market price. And it's still my opinion is that folks would rather pay a higher price for English products than Japanese products. But like I said, I still want to keep some sort of Japanese and eventually Chinese on the side available for people to purchase. But other than that, it's been a great year so far. I do appreciate everybody that has tagged along with me as we continue to get bigger and better every day. I do appreciate it. I do appreciate the follows, the Instagram likes, everything. You guys are awesome. 94 Pokejacks would not be around if it wasn't for you guys. That's why it's key for me to try to keep MSRP Lottery alive, to be able to continue giving back to you awesome people out there. But I do appreciate every single one of you. And until next time, 904 out.